अर्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यास विशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविद्यायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय तामृतदुहे नमः। Having completed the first 4 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, we are poised this morning, going by India's time, to start our study of the 5th chapter. The 5th chapter is indeed a treat to all spiritual aspirants. Though this 5th chapter does not go specifically to any particular topic in great detail, it's an excellent bridge course. You may call it a bridge course in the sense it's a bridge between our understanding of karma yoga I mean, and dhyana, the higher spiritual exercise of meditation. Once a young sannyasi had asked some very elderly Swamiji in Varanasi, if meditation can set you free, why do anything else? Why not just meditate hours and hours? The older gentleman smiled and said, "You are asking the question presuming you have the ability to sit like that for hours and hours. Your presumption needs to be double-checked." And even as some of us were watching this interesting question and answer, the elderly Swamiji asked the young sannyasi, "How much have you been meditating so far? On an average, how much do you sit quietly in a day?" The young sannyasi said, "Really, I don't sit at all. I am very busy with organizing things, writing, reading, meeting people, receiving people. Too many obligations I have. That's why I'm asking you, should I leave all this and just meditate?" The elderly Swamiji smiled again and said, "I knew this is your issue. So far you have not been sitting even for half an hour quietly, and you are thinking of meditating for hours and hours and leaving everything else. My dear young man, unless you have the ability, the inclination to sit quietly for long hours, this question is meaningless. Secondly, there may be some people in the world who sit for hours. By merely sitting for hours, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening and so on, in no way it means they are advanced. In no way it means they are doing the right meditation. In the Vedanta tradition, it is said uncompromisingly that true meditation, which can set you free, has to stand on the firm legs of right understanding of the Vedanta. Unless through Shravana and Manana you have a tremendous clarity about Jnana, you are simply sitting in Dhyana. Dhyana will only confirm your Jiva Bhava, will only reinforce your sense of your being somebody who is here and who has to reach there and who has come this much of distance. That very concept is Jiva Bhava. And in the liberating meditation, you have not understood. In the liberating meditation, it's not about going anywhere, reaching anywhere, becoming something. The Vedanta is very clear. The liberating meditation is where to stay very firm in the understanding whatever has got to be attained is ever attained. Brahma is Nitya Siddha. Brahma is already accomplished. What about you? Brahma may be accomplished. Are you accomplished? Someone who has studied Vedanta properly has no doubt that the Brahma which the Upanishads are talking about is no other than oneself. Not with arrogance or pride or some sense of superiority. Superiority and inferiority are valid when there is a duality, there are two people. In the gentle appreciation of Brahma, the non-dual truth, there are no two. Only Brahma is, only God is. These are not understood easily unless one does Shravana and Manana following a competent teacher. So, why did we call this chapter 5, which we shall presently take up, a bridge course? Chapter 5, more than any other chapter in this Bhagavad Gita, makes it clear that there is a stage, a phase of preparation. Only after that phase of preparation is completed, one can go to call it meditation or call it pure sannyasa. The word used here is sannyasa. But the very next chapter is about dhyana, atma sanyama yoga or dhyana yoga is the shashtaha adhyaya. Therefore, what is implied by dhyana, what is implied by sannyasa go together. In contrast, the stage of preparation is marked by selfless service, nishkama karma. And this chapter 5 is captioned or titled Karma Sannyasa Yoga. for it throws precious light on karma and on sannyasa. Because grammatically, karma sannyasa yoga can mean either karma cha sannyasascha karma sannyasau tayoho yoga. The topic, yoga means topic. The topic of selfless action on one hand and renunciation on the other, making both these domains very clear. Grammatically, Shashti Tatpurusha also can be applied. Karmanaha Sannyasaha Karma Sannyasa. Previous one was Karma and Sannyasa. The second interpretation is Sannyasa, renunciation of karma. For this chapter indeed throws light on what prepares us, what makes us fit for renouncing karma. Karmanaha sannyasaya kada vayam yogyaha bhavamaha iti atra spashtam kriyate. This fifth chapter has 29 verses. There are 11 chapters in Bhagavad Geetā which have more shlokas than this fifth chapter has. Some have 30, some have 34, some have 41, some have 42, some have 72, and the 18th chapter has 78 shlokas. So ranging from 30 to 78, there are 11 chapters which are bulkier than chapter 5. And there are 6 chapters which are more slim than this Panchama Adhyaya. Panchama Adhyaya has 29 shlokas. In fact, that's the only chapter which has 29 shlokas. There are chapters with 28 shlokas, 27 shlokas, 24 shlokas, and there are 2 chapters in Bhagavad Geetā, chapter 12 and chapter 15, which have the minimal number of shlokas, 20 only. No wonder some smart students of Bhagavad Geetā just learn the 15th chapter, the shortest one. No wonder they chant it before bhojana, because to chant anything longer would be making them more impatient. They'll try their patience. So 20 shlokas only in chapter 15. Urdu Mula Madashakam Ashwatam Shaurayam Kandam Sesa Parnani Testam Vedasa Vedavit, like that. They start and complete it, and then Bhojanam Priyate. 29 shlokas is not very bulky, not even half as much. Less than half of the longest chapters, namely second having 72 and 18th having 78. And on top of it, if you just go for the shlokas and their meanings, most of these shlokas in the chapter 5 are fairly simple and they are motivational. They whip us up on our lack of preparedness. For example, one of the shlokas says, Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptumayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena adigacchati. O mighty armed Arjuna, you might be great in warfare, but when it comes to this inner matter, sannyasa is extremely difficult. Dukkham aptum. unless you have prepared yourself with yoga. Ayogataha. If yoga is absent, ayoga means absence of yoga, absence of personality integration. Unless you let go of your anger, your revenge, unless you let go of your narrow angles of view, unless you let go of your overly insistence on I, me, and my, unless there is an unburdening of many kinds of psychological weight that you are carrying, sannyāsaha aptum dukkham, dukkham aptum ayogataha. Whereas through nishkama karma, through satsangas, through learning to be humble, through attaining broader outlooks, through not so much insisting on I, me, and my, but really not as lip service, really helping others, being happy in the progress of others, materially or spiritually. For there are some who become envious if somebody else is spiritually advanced. So spiritually or materially, what difference does it make? The so-called others are ahead of you and you are still in some negativity, some laziness or whatever. Do not add to your problem by being jealous of those who are hardworking, those who are smarter in some way. You should just be aware of your laziness and find ways to be free of laziness. If somebody is not lazy and you say, how come he is not lazy? Don't worry about that. To think about others and how privileged or fortunate or blessed they are is a waste of your time. At the most, be aware, but work on your own obstacles. Try to clear them. Then you become a yogi. Yoga yuktaha munihi brahma nachirena adhigacchati. That's a very fine sample of motivational verse. What is motivation after all? The motivational material is full of do's and don'ts. You motivate somebody to do what is beneficial and you make somebody withdraw from what should not be done. That is the job of a motivational speaker. Sri Krishna is one of the all-time great motivational speakers that history has ever recorded. On the battlefield, he makes an unwilling horse, Arjuna, run around and get ready to pick up his bow and arrows again and get going. Now, Shankaracharya gives an introductory commentary to this chapter 5, which runs into, at least in the book that I am holding, different publications may break the fairly long commentary into different number of parts. The book I am holding, this Shankara Bhāshya, is split into 7 sections, thoughtfully and in a very neat manner. Swami Satchidanandendra Saraswati, who dropped his body in 1975, did yeoman's service to Vedanta by leaving behind a number of really wonderful books, his writings. So, his translation in Kannada, of course, of commentaries of Adi Shankara are probably unparalleled. Probably because I have not studied Marathi or Gujarati, Bengali or Punjabi translations. So I have no right to say these are the best. But probably because the way it has been translated with great accuracy and classified. He even gives numbers to the paragraphs. For example, the introductory commentary to Bhagavad Geetā, Chapter-5, is divided into 7 paragraphs, 320 to 326. Why does he give numbers like that? Did Adi Shankara give those numbers? No way. Adi Shankara did not number particular paragraphs. Swami Sachidanandendra Saraswati, in all the Shankara Bhāshyas on Upanishads, on Gita, on Brahma Sutra that he translated, divides the Bhashya into hundreds of sections, numbers them. Why he does so? Though he was no professor of any university, no academician in the tradition, in the modern traditional sense, modern tradition, there's a modern tradition, a new tradition has come now, Western education. He's not a part of Western education, but he made all these numbers so that while commenting or explaining something in some other book, he would say, please see paragraph 323 in my edition of Shankara Bhāshya on Bhagavad Geetā. So he has numbered so that his work becomes very systematic. So 320, one last time let me mention the numbers that he has given in his publication. That number won't be found in your book. 320 to 326, 7 paragraphs. But the main ones are the first and the 7th among them. In today's class, we shall see these two and plunge into shlokas. In the very next class, we shall see the other paragraphs where some Purva Pakshi, imagined opponent's view is taken up and replied. But the 2 paragraphs we shall see in this class are where Shankara on his own side introduces chapter 5 in plain language. Karmani akarmaya pashet. He makes 10 references to the previous chapter. 10 shlokas he picks up and says, all these 10 shlokas highlighted renunciation, highlighted jnana. What is this jnana? The Advaita jnana is where one clearly sees one has no duty whatsoever. Not easy. Those who have not become very pure constantly imagine, I have now this duty left, I have now that task left, I have a long way to go, I am nowhere, I am lagging behind, This constant self-judgment is like a thorn in the flesh of a jiva. In the world, they are constantly worried, I haven't made enough money, I haven't built my own large house, I am yet to get a proper good car, I am yet to, like this is a long list. Alas, even people in spiritual field, so-called spiritual field, they have, I still have lust, I still have anger, I have to do something about it, I still have laziness, I still go into depression once in 10 days, that is not good. Wait a minute. That you go into depression once in 10 days may be true. But this being so bothered about it, ensures that your depression will not leave you easily. Study Vedanta, study Shastra, Dharma and Brahma both. It will help you at least prevent the second arrow. Second arrow is a very well-known expression in Buddhist literature. The first arrow is what happens to you. Second arrow is what you create by lamenting over everything. A lady's son met with an accident. That is enough misery. And the lady was so full of remorse. I did not want to give him the keys of the car because he doesn't yet have a full-fledged license. He just has a learning license. That evening when he asked for the keys, I first told him, I won't give you, I will drop you at the party. That's a story, very beautifully narrated by Sri Kumar Rao of Rao Institute in New York. He has narrated the story very effectively. The first arrow is how the son went and met with an accident. Terribly injured, hospitalized in ICU, That is first arrow. Second arrow is the mother who, of course, made a mistake by giving him the keys. She should have been very firm unless you really drive very well. And moreover, in that party, your friends will make you drink a little and you will not have the balance to drive back carefully. She should have stood firm and dropped him there. But she gave the keys. Yes, that is a mistake. But she is so full of agitations. So when you do yoga, nishkama karma, seva, and puja, japa, all of it, the second arrow, that is inner reactions to the mistakes you might have definitely done. Quickly to give one last example, instead of 5 a.m. if you got up at 7:30 a.m. Yes, that's not very nice. But then you took 2 or 3 hours to recover from a sense of shame. Oh my, I am a brahmachari. I have devoted myself to spirituality. It is 10 years since I joined the ashram, and yet I am not able to get up early. Oh, and you lament upon it for another 2 hours. Then that is the second arrow. The first arrow has hit your arm that you got up late. So Shankara says so wonderfully here that several shlokas in the fourth chapter have talked about that higher stage. In the higher stage, where you are truly ready for nididhyasana, deep meditation and renunciation. That renunciation, since most of you here are householders in this class, let me clarify, doesn't have to be actually walking away from home. Some of you have asked this question time and again. Do we really have to walk away? Not really. In fact, some who have walked away have not yet attained sannyasa. And then there are some who have stayed home and yet are excellent sannyasis. Sannyasa is a state of mind. When a question was asked to Maharshi Ramana, it's published in Ramana Geetā, what is sannyasa? His answer is so wonderful. Sannyaso nirmalam jnanam. When your jnana is free of impurities, you clearly know, you clearly see that though you are living with your spouse and children and grandchildren, day in and day out, thanks to your deep study of Vedanta, you know that this is one dimension of my existence. But the primary dimension is I am no husband, I am no grandfather, I am no father. All this is a certain role playing. And what under the sun are you? I am. Full period. I am. Full stop. You don't add anything. If that answer rises in you, whether you are at home with children and grandchildren, etc., or in a jungle, you are a sannyasi. And in contrast, somebody has been in the jungle or in some Himalayan ashram for last 11 years, let us say. But every day, I don't know when my mind will get purer. I don't know when I will become steady in sadhana. I am not reaching anywhere. Oh, and so on. For 11 years, you have been in Rishikesh and spending 2 or 3 hours every day at the bank of Ganga with Japamala in hand. But you haven't let go of this bug that you are the mind. You are not the mind. So, someone in Himalayas not letting go of that bug is not a sannyasi. And someone in a crowded city of Chicago, having worked on himself properly in the past, goes through very many aspects of family life and entertains the understanding within himself or herself. But yes, these are going on. But I really am pure existence. Is a sannyasi. Karmani akarmaya pashyet. The very first quote that Adi Shankara gives in his introductory Bhāshya to Chapter-5 says the ability to see akarma in karma. So the man in Chicago sees akarma. So just this evening also he had gone with his wife and children to a party and they are driving back home. Apparently very active, but inwardly body went and the body has come back. I am the witness. That is akarma. Karmani akarmaya pashyet iti arabhya sayuktaha krishna karma krit. Such a person is totally integrated, which is again the same shloka, 418. Dhanagni dagdha karmanam. Did not Sri Krishna say in the last chapter which we completed that jnana, that is right seeing, is like a fire that burns away all one's actions and the results of actions. Shariram kevalam kurvan, shariram kevalam karma kurvan apnoti kilmisham, yadricha labha santushtaha 422, brahmarpanam brahma havihi 424, karmajan vidhitan sarvan 432, Sarvam Karma Akhilam Partha 433, Dhanagni Sarva Karmani 437, and lastly, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, all the way till 441. 442 touches upon Karma Yoga. But 441, the last but onwards in the last chapter, also praises, that is, showers lavish praise on renunciation. Not everybody's cup of tea. Already we described a sannyasi in Rishikesh for 11 years who still harbors or not only gets but reinforces his thought that he is not improving. I am not improving. I am not getting better. I am stuck here or stuck there. Come on. And that's the second arrow with which you are hurting yourself. learn to quickly let go of reactions that arise in your mind. As though nothing has happened. Yes, you got up at 7:30, which is shame for a sannyasi living in Shivananda Ashram in Rishikesh. Just because no class, no program, nothing is there, you got up so late, that's not good. Agreed. But 7:30 you got up and oh my God. And you brush your teeth. In 5 minutes, forget that you got up late. 5 minutes, sit down and do Om Namah Shivaya as though you got up at 3:30 a.m. half an hour before your planned, time of getting up. So one thing is some errors take place in you. Another is you oscillate, vacillate, you go up and down in agitations about what happened. Hold on. So Shankaracharya says, Iti antaihi vachanaihi sarvakarma sannyasam avochad Bhagavan. Bhagavan Sri Krishna spoke on karma sannyasa, renunciation. But in the last verse and in some places before also, he said, Yogam Atishta. In 42, the last verse of chapter 4, yoga means karma yoga. In fact, if you go back to Shankara Bhāshya, it says, Samyak Darshana Upayam. Upaya Bhutam. Karma yoga is the upaya. Like a boat is a upaya to cross the river. Once you cross the river, you leave the boat behind. Just like that, karma yoga is left behind. It's not for you to always hold on to. Whereas dana is what you stay with. Dana will never leave you. So, chitva enam samshayam yogam atishta ityanena vachanena yogancha karma anushtana lakshanam anutishta ityuktavan. This created now doubt for Arjuna. Tayoho ubhayoscha karma anushtana karma sannyasayoho sthiti gativat paraspara virodha. In Arjuna's mind, sthiti and gati, sthiti means stay, gati means move. If a father tells a son, go now itself to the post office, but sit down for a while, the son will be very confused. What is my father saying? Go immediately, I am about to go. Sit down without moving. Same sentence. Go immediately to the post office, but sit down quietly in this chair. One is gati, go. Another is sthiti, stay. Sthiti, this is an idiom. Sthiti gativat paraspara virodha. So karma sannyasa and karma yoga are by definition opposed to each other. Ekena saha kartum ashakyatvat. The same person cannot do both. Suppose the father has two sons. To one son he says, go to the post office without delaying even for a second. And to another son he says, sit down here. That's fine. Bhabhyam kartum shakyate. Gatihi sthitischa. Ekaha gachet patralayam. Anyaha tishtet grihe eva. Two people can do that, but not one person alone. Going to the post office also and staying on the chair also. Ekena saha kartum shakyatva. Maybe Sri Krishna meant for a certain length of time do karma yoga, or later on another time do karma sannyasa. Kala bhedena. Arjuna thinks maybe, but then Sri Krishna did not explicitly say it. Anushtana vidhana abhavat. He is unable to remember any words by Sri Krishna where he explicitly, very clearly put these two as belonging to do different periods of time. Therefore, etayoho, yeah, Sri Krishna didn't say, but that is what happens. In our life, there is a phase of time where we are neck deep in more than karma, the kartrutva bhava. I am a doer. I won there, but last year I was hardworking there. Here I was laid back. That was were the golden years of my life, and these were the dirty time, the bad phase. Here I was so perfect. Over there I made mistake after mistake. You know, in this way we think of two different phases. So in karma yoga is one phase, and at another period of time, karma san. That's true. But Arjuna is confused because he did not get any clear distinction of that kind before. So Anushtana Vidhana Bhava, which means Sri Krishna doesn't seem to have said that so clearly. He will make it clear now. Etayoho anyatara kartavyata praptau satyam. So one of them has to be done. Both cannot be done by the same person. Yat prashasyataram, whatever is more praiseworthy. Prashansa is praise. Prashasya is something that deserves to be praised. And then something that deserves more to be praised is prashasya tara. Etayoho karma anushtana karma sanyasayoho tat kartavyam na itarat ityevam manyamanaha prashasya tara bubutsaya. Bubutsa means wanting to know. Buddha, bodaha, atma bodaha. You see, Buddha means to know. And bubutsa, don't read it as bubuksha. Bubuksha means hunger, wanting to eat, bhojana. But here it is bodha. Bubutsaya Arjuna Huvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna iti. As I said, we'll skip 5 paragraphs just in this class and go to the last paragraph in your Shankara Bhāshya. Just before the first shloka of the chapter, there's a paragraph starting with Jayasi Chet Karmanaste. Look at that paragraph. Sri Shankaracharya says, Jayasi Chet Karmanaste iti atra jnana karmanoho saha asambhave. Arjuna, upon seeing that jnana, which goes with the sannyasa, and karma, which is selfless service, saha asambhava. They can't be done together. Therefore, yat shreyaha etayor tanme bruhi. This question Arjuna had asked in third chapter also. Acharya Shankara gives 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3 first. He gives these three first as examples of the same question had more or less come before. So what is new in this fifth chapter? In the third chapter, Arjuna had asked, Sri Krishna, if you think renunciation is superior to karma, why are you asking me to stay in karma? Sri Krishna, tell me one of the two. More or less same words come here. And then Sri Krishna also said, Sankhyanam Sannyasinam Jnana Yogena Nishta Karma Yogena Yoginam Nishta Prokta. Arjuna, Sri Krishna had answered it also. The matter is over. Why bring that up again? Iti Nirnayam Chakara. Bhagavan Krishna had made his final position clear. Nirnayam Chakara. Nirnayam Kritavan. But then there was a shloka actually. Shankaracharya draws our attention to another shloka which is no other than 3.4. So 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 seem to indicate that the matter had been resolved. But 3.4 had a wonderful insight. What did 3.4, third chapter, 4th shloka say? Nacha sanyasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati. Kevalat is added. By merely taking orange robes, going to Rishikesh, living 11 years in some Shivananda ashram or Kailas ashram or somewhere, saying, you see, it's 11 years since I took sannyas and I have not gone back to my town in Nagarkoil, some deep South Indian place, or anywhere else it could be. I have been by the Ganga. I am da 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 da. So much of I. There is so much of I in this man, let's say. That is called Kevala Sannyas, Jnana Rahita. This man who has spent 11 years there and he still goes into depression every second or third day, not for material reasons, not that he doesn't have enough money, not that enough devotees don't come to him. No, no, no. But he thinks, I have not overcome sorrow, anger, lust, greed. I still have negativities in me. And that is also a bug. Then this fellow has not got enough clarity in the Vedanta. It's like though some friend opened a flashlight, opened a beam of light from his torch. A friend has done it. And in spite of it, because of your some confusion in your mind, though your eyes are open, pashyannapi na pashyati. You say, yeah, thank you for turning that flashlight on. But you see, I am still worried. This, this snake may suddenly jump at us, though it's at 10 feet away. It may jump at us and kill us. Please don't assure me that we are at safe distance. Sometimes I have seen some snakes can fly also. In my childhood, I have seen a snake flying. I had seen once incidentally. When I was in high school, we were playing cricket by some field outside our town. And I had seen two interesting scenes by chance. Otherwise, I'm not somebody who will go looking for snakes or insects or birds, or I have no interest in those things somehow. I should have actually, but I don't. But we were playing cricket and to pick up our the ball which goes here and there. We went to some corner. Couple of friends and I looked at. Suddenly we saw a snake, not too high, but about 4 or 5 feet high. It flew from maybe one bush to another or something. We were shocked. On another occasion, again, while playing cricket in some field, when we went to pick up the ball which had gone in some direction, we saw some at some distance, not very close, two snakes, probably male and female. They were sort of vertical, intertwined. They were together, intertwined, and they had gone a few feet vertical. But we were interested in the ball and we picked up the ball and ran away. We don't want to take any risk. We are not, there are some who wish to take those days photography was not easy. Some who want to have great interest in biology, zoology, botany, and so on. We passed many exams in botany and zoology, but our interest ended soon after the examination. All right. So the question is, Nacha sannyasana. If you merely have taken orange robes, you are not studied. So I was giving the snake and rope example. You are so filled with those thoughts that there is a snake. Whereas if you had studied in the analogy, if you saw properly, you would see that there is no snake at all. Likewise, if you study Vedanta properly, if your teacher guides you rightly, if your teacher actually lifts you above your present idea of your being the body, your being an American or European or Indian or whatever, your being Hindu or Muslim or Buddhist or Christian, etc. These are all unvedantic. They have some value in Karma Yoga, but Karma Sannyasa requires that you see yourself primarily as not belonging to any of these camps. So, if in spite of years and years of Vedantic study or even teaching, the thought of your being stuck somewhere persists, your sannyasa is for namesake, naam ke vaste. Therefore, Shankaracharya says so well, Jnana sahitasya siddhi sadhanatvam ishtam. When your sannyasa, either taking orange robes and so on, or like I said, the man in Chicago hasn't taken orange robes, but he has, amidst all his family responsibilities, apparent responsibilities, he often sits down, maybe with a cup of tea in the balcony, and entertains the understanding. I really am no grandfather. I really am no father or husband or anything. I don't want to tell my wife I am not your husband. That's unnecessary. But the Vedantic truth is, I am Sachit. Then that is Jnana Sahita Sannyasa. So maybe when all have gone to bed, he sits for some time, deeply enjoying his ever-free nature. Or maybe in the morning before others get up, he freshens up, takes a glass of warm water, sipping that warm water. He says to himself, am I afraid of dying? Why should I be? I will not die. This body will fall. That anyhow it will fall. So a certain contemplation comes to him, though he is very close to downtown Chicago or somewhere highly populated area. So what? He's not in Rishikesh, he's not in Himalayas, but he is Jnana Sahita Sannyasi. Ishtatva, that is desirable. Karma Yogasya Vidhanat. To arrive there, you must have done enough Karma Yoga. Jnana Rahitasya Sannyasaha Shreyam. Kimva Karma Yoga Shreya. There is somebody Jnana Rahita. Arjuna's question comes there. Though he is Jnana Rahita, is it okay for him to take sannyasa? Is it good? Or for such a person who doesn't have clear understanding of Vedanta, is Karma Yoga Shreyan? Iti etayoho vishesha bubutsaya. Arjuna uvacha. We read the first sloka. Arjuna uvacha. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna. Punaryogancha shansasi. Yachreya etayorekam. Tanme bruhi sunishchitam. So there is a special focus on those of us who do not have yet that clarity about Vedanta. Should we take sannyas at all? Or should we wait till we get enough clarity? That is the distinction of this particular chapter, where otherwise this question seems to repeat. No, the question is, it seems to repeat, but there is a new dimension that is being explored. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.